There are certain UFC fighters who have come back stronger after a loss, where as of right now, they will soon be knocking on the door for a title shot. So here is 10 most improved fighters in the UFC. Number 10. Myron Renault is a top bantamweight contender who in her recent fights has shown great improvements to her overall skills. At the end of 2015, she had lost 2 fights in a row and could have been released if she lost the next fight. She came back strong and defeated Milana Dudieva by TKO at UFC Final 99. She next fought to a draw with Betch Correia at UFC Final 106 and next knocked out Talita Bernardo at UFC Final 115. She was next given a massive step up in competition against former title challenger Sarah McMahon at UFC on Fox 28. In the fight, Myron Renault was able to lock in a triangle choke, forcing the tap. At the age of 40, she is looking better than ever, where another win may guarantee her a title shot. Number 9. Jessica Andrade is a top strawweight contender who has recently shown major developments to her fighting style. After losing to then UFC strawweight champion Joanna Jędrzejczyk at UFC 211, she has gone back and assessed her overall game, where she found what works best for her. In her recent fights, she uses the power advantage she has over the strawweights to benefit her to completely ragdoll her opponents. This was seen when she overpowered top contender Claudia Gadelha at UFC Final 117 and similarly defeated Tisha Torres, overpowering her at UFC on Fox 28. Jessica Andrade is a very powerful strawweight who has proved that she is a legit threat to the title. Number 8. John Moraga is a top flyweight contender who looks better than ever in his recent fights. He was on the brink of being cut from the UFC after suffering a 3-fight losing streak and desperately needed to win his next fight. He next faced newcomer Ashkan Mokhtarian at UFC Final 110, where he dominated the fight from start to finish, using all of his tools to get the unanimous decision victory. He was next given a tough opponent in Magomed Bibulatov, who was undefeated with a record of 14-0, and he was expected to just walk through John Moraga. Both fighters faced off at UFC 216, where in the fight, John Moraga pulled off a stunning upset where he knocked him out in the first round. With 2 strong wins under his belt, John Moraga's improvement will help him move closer to another title shot after a few more wins. Number 7. Felice Herrig is a top strawweight contender who is quietly rising through the rankings with her impressive performances. Since her loss to Paige Van Zandt at UFC on Fox 15, she re-evaluated her overall game and just looks like a totally different fighter. In her recent fights, she has become more patient and uses all of her tools to get the victory. This new approach has helped her put together a 4-fight winning streak and is closing on a title shot fast. I believe the changes she has made to her overall game have made a massive impact in her fights, where she just looks better and better each time she competes. Number 6. Andrei Arlovski is a former UFC heavyweight champion who has shown massive improvements in his recent fights. He was on the brink of being cut from the UFC roster after suffering a 5-fight losing streak, where another loss would have likely ended in his release. He left Jacksonville to go to American Top Team so that he could start fresh. His next opponent would be Junior Albini at UFC Final 120, where in the fight, Andrei Arlovski was just 1 step ahead of Junior Albini, which helped him win the fight by unanimous decision. He would next face Stefan Struve at UFC 222, where he would use all of his tools to dominate all 3 rounds, winning the fight by unanimous decision. Andrei Arlovski's camp change has made a massive impact in him becoming more patient inside the octagon, as well as utilizing all the skills he has to win his fights. This newfound confidence will help him surge up the heavyweight rankings in 2018. Number 5. Paul Felder is a top lightweight contender whose recent fights have shown that he has taken his overall game to a new level. After losing to Francisco Trinaldo at UFC Final 95, he went away and came back as a violent finisher. In his recent fights, he has remained calm in dangerous situations and he has taken his time to find the right openings. This new approach has helped him put together 3 elbow knockout finishes and just looks terrifying right now. His belief in his skills and his abilities has helped him realize that he has what it takes to hang with the best fighters in the world. This self-belief will help him conquer more top names as he works his way to the top. Number 4. Thiago Santos is a top middleweight contender whose recent fights have shown that he is a dangerous fight for anybody. After suffering a 2-fight losing streak to Gegard Mousasi and Eric Spicely, Thiago Santos went back and reflected on the holes he had in his fighting style and made a comeback against Jack Marshman at UFC Final 105, where in the fight, he landed a spinning kick in the 3rd round, stunning Jack Marshman, and followed up with punches to get the TKO victory. He would next violently finish Gerald Mishat, Jack Hermansson, and Anthony Smith, where he just looks like a totally different fighter. With 4 dominant wins on his record, it seems as though he's found his rhythm and knows what works for him, where it will be interesting to see how he progresses in the middleweight rankings. Number 3. Dustin Poirier is a top lightweight contender who, since moving up from the featherweight division, has really shown what he's truly capable of. In his recent fights, he has shown a new patient approach which has helped him find his shots to slowly break his opponent. This was seen when he pushed former champion Eddie Alvarez to the limit at UFC 211. He was able to land clean shots which had Eddie Alvarez in all sorts of trouble. He is 6-1 in the lightweight division, and he last pulled off the biggest win in his MMA career when he defeated Anthony Pettis by TKO at UFC Final 120. I believe his skills are well suited for this division, where it will be interesting to see how he progresses in the lightweight division. Number 2. Jeremy Stephens is a top featherweight contender who has shown major improvements to his overall game in his recent fights. After suffering a 2-fight losing streak to Frankie Edgar and Hinato Moicano, Jeremy Stephens came back better than ever and faced Gilbert Melendez at UFC 215, where he absolutely kicked the crap out of his legs to win the fight by unanimous decision. He next finished Doo Ho Choi by TKO at UFC Final 124 and last viciously finished Josh Emmett by knockout at UFC on Fox 28. Jeremy Stephens has quickly turned himself into a legitimate threat in the featherweight division and just looks like a terrifying force, where I believe after 1 or 2 more wins, he will definitely be ready to challenge for the title. Number 1. Rafael dos Anjos is a former UFC lightweight champion who is also a top welterweight contender. After suffering 2 losses to Eddie Alvarez and Tony Ferguson at lightweight, Rafael dos Anjos re-evaluated his overall game and thought it was the best move to move up to the welterweight division and start fresh. In his welterweight debut, he used his grappling to defeat Tarek Saffiedine by unanimous decision at UFC Final 111 and next made quick work of Neil Magny at UFC 215, where he finished him by an arm triangle choke in the first round. He last dominated former champion Robbie Lawler from start to finish at UFC on Fox 26, winning the fight by a dominant unanimous decision. Rafael dos Anjos has made the most improvements out of everyone on the roster, where he just seems so confident in the welterweight division. He is the clear number 1 contender in the weight class, where it will be interesting to see how he fares up against the UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley in the future.